Hello, grade 10 students. Let's get prepared for our speaking and writing lesson today. I need you all to prepare your student books, page 89. Let's get started. The objectives of the day are: relate a set of 3 pictures to predict the topic of the lesson, compose a story implementing given ideas, and finally demonstrate ability to form a dialogue through making comments to given storylines. Before we begin our lesson, I want you to pause the video for a minute and try to answer this question. Can you identify what these posters are? Pause and think. They are stories. Well done, everyone. Now, which did you like the most? I'm pretty sure that most of you read at least one of them. What can you tell me? We can say, for example, Great Expectations is of an extraordinary theme. Or perhaps we can say, I hadn't thought of that. Today we will be working on our student books page 89 and we will be referring to student books page 137. Make sure that you have your book with you and these 2 pages are prepared. Let's read through the prompt together. Work in small groups. Make up a story using as many of the prompts given as possible. Discuss how you each think the story should develop. Use some of the phrases given in the speaking activities on page 137. After you have finalized your story, tell it to the class. So we will be using the pictures we have, the words we have we will implement in our story, and of course the phrases we have in the activity in page 137. Let's get started. Let's make a story together. I will help you by giving you a hint of the words that you need to implement in the first paragraph so you can have some ideas about it. We will first of all use this picture. This picture gives us an idea of the location of the story. We have a river and there are mountains, so you have a scenery of the story. Then we can use the word river, map, treasure, hide. So I want you to pause, write down a paragraph implementing the words we have here, and let's see what is the story that you came up with. Let's check an example. For example, a year ago, my grandfather gave me a map of the area by the river and told me that there was a treasure hidden somewhere there. Of course, I didn't believe him, but I took the map and told him I would search for it one day. A few weeks ago, I came across the map as I was looking through my desk. I looked at it for a while and then I thought out loud, why not? Immediately, I called my friends Paul and John and asked them if they would like to go on a treasure hunt. At first, they thought I was joking, but when I told them about my grandfather and the map, they were fascinated by the idea of a treasure hidden not very far away from where we lived, and they agreed to go on a treasure hunt with me at the weekend. Do you see how we implemented the words, for example, map, river, treasure, and the word hide here? We actually changed it into hidden. Make sure that you implement the words we emphasized on and write down your story. Something similar to this idea. Moving on to the next part of the story, I will still help you by giving you some words that you can implement in your next part of the story. We can use river, map, relieved, treasure, bear, bridge, torch. So I want you to pause the video for 5 minutes and try to write down your part of the story, and let's compare it with the one that we will display in few seconds. Let's check the example. So, the three of us got to the river. We tried to read the map, but we couldn't understand a thing. Then John suggested we cross the river using the bridge to see what there was on the other side of the river. As we were crossing the bridge, a strong wind blew the map away. There was nothing we could do. After a couple of hours, we realized that we would never manage to find the treasure, so we decided to go back, but it was already too dark to try to cross the river. We started looking for a place to spend the night. We were relieved when we spotted a cave. When we got closer, we saw something big lying inside the cave. Paul shone his torch in that direction. We couldn't believe our eyes. It was a bear. Now, do you see how we implemented the words and made a whole story using these words as our main ideas? I want you to do the same thing. Moving on to our last part of the story, I will still help you out by giving you some help and telling you what are the words that you need to implement and wrap your story around them. Starting with wounded, breathe, safe, unconscious, torch, scared stiff, treasure, bear. Pause and start writing your own perspective of the story. Now let's check the example we have. Suddenly, the bear started breathing heavily, which made us realize that it was wounded and probably unconscious. We were scared stiff and didn't know what to do. Paul turned his torch off, and we quickly got out of the cave. I called the police on my cell phone and reported the incident. They, in turn, called the local forest authorities, who took care of the wounded bear the following morning. As for us, we spent the night in another cave a few yards away from the bear. We didn't manage to find the treasure, but we did manage to save the life of a beautiful animal. You see how we implemented these words and we made a whole story out of it? This is exactly what I want you to do. Now let's take a look on our tip box, page 89, and highlight the important information that we need to focus on when we are making comments or conversations. Starting with, when you want to make a comment or add something to an ongoing conversation, it is polite to acknowledge what someone has just said before stating your own idea. So make sure that you listen and understand what the other part said in order for you to give your own opinion. Then, to confirm understanding, repeat the other person's idea or paraphrase it, like rephrase in your own words. Rephrase it in your own words. Number 3, a useful way of bringing new ideas into a conversation is by asking questions. So you need to interact with the other part, asking them information or questions about the events of the story. Now let's get to the second part of our lesson. After you heard the story, what would you comment or say if your friend asked for your feedback about their story? Imagine that they told you about their story with the bear and the cave and the treasure. How would you comment? What would you say? Pause and think about it. Let's make some comments. We will be implementing the phrases we have here from page 137 and try to make a comment on this sentence. A year ago, my grandfather gave me a map of the area by the river and told me that there was a treasure hidden somewhere there. What is a suitable comment for the above extract? We can say, for example, "That's interesting. I think that it is a very possible idea." Or we can say, "That sounds like a good idea." Moving on to confirming understanding, let's take a look on this sentence. We started looking for a place to spend the night. We were relieved when we spotted a cave. When we got closer, we saw something big lying inside the cave. So what is a suitable way to confirm understanding for the above extract? We can say, for example, "In other words," as I previously mentioned, we can rephrase what is being told to us in our own words, or we can say, "What you are saying is." So, for example, we can say, "In other words, you were not afraid to go inside the cave?" And also we asked a question. Also we can say, "So, what you're saying is that you stayed inside even when you saw something lying there?" Another question asked in another way of rephrasing the sentence. So you can use these ideas and make your point more understandable. Now let's see. Suddenly, the bear started breathing heavily, which made us realize that it was wounded and probably unconscious. We were scared stiff and didn't know what to do. So, what is a suitable way to confirm understanding for the above extract? How are we going to let the other part know that we understood them? How about you pause and try to use any of the phrases you have here? Let's check the examples. We may say, for example, I hadn't thought of that. Or, I get it. He or she were not afraid, for example. So here, for example, I get it. The bear was not harmful at all. This is an example. Now it's your turn. Write down the story you made up for the speaking activity. Let's check your story and see your imagination. And make sure that you submit your writing to your teacher or share it with your classmates on Teams, and let's see how they comment on it. This is it for the day. Thank you.